Hello, I'm Chuck Phillip with South Alabama Home Inspections, and welcome to another edition of Southern Home Talk. And I'm at a house that appears to me has been abandoned for about 30 years, maybe longer, somewhere around in there. And so you can see some issues already with this. And so what happens, you have people out there that flip houses, and usually whenever I see this cladding or vinyl siding in this case, I always suspect it's been put there to possibly cover up damaged areas or defective areas. And so anyway, sometimes they won't do the things I think that should be done, and that's replace windows with windows that are up to today's standards and are insulated. And not only that, but these jalousie windows that crank out, especially if they're on a bedroom, are really hazardous. And of course, they also got burglar bars in this case as well, and both these things can stop the egress of your house if there was ever a fire. And I remember back in the late 60s where a girl and her grandmother was killed as a result of these jalousie windows being installed on the house, and plus the height of the windows were higher than 50 or I think 43 inches high. So it had two problems. They couldn't get out for the jalousie windows and also the height of the windowsill. And they both perished in that fire, unfortunately. And so anyway, this is something I do point out when I do a home inspection. If I find these old windows, for no other reason, they should be replaced for safety. So anyway, this appears to be built on a block foundation, and which has a crawl space as a result. And so anytime you have a house built on a crawl space, it certainly needs to be inspected by a qualified home inspector. And it's going to take an inspector longer than 2 hours to do a house, even a house this size, if he's doing a proper inspection. And you can see this has a clean out there, which was probably added at some time later in the service of this home, probably the 1980s if I had to guess. And there's the entrance to the crawl space. And so let's look through how much we can see in here. I'm sure it looks pretty bad. Too bad I don't have my light with me, but I'm sure there's probably some fungus issues in that subflooring. So if you walk the floors inside, which I'm not going to do, I'm pretty sure they'd be buckled and warped from the moisture that's coming up from the crawl space into the house. That's probably the bathroom window. You see their window frames are wood. And also know this too, that some of these windows, it's a good possibility that's lead paint. Only way to know would be to have it tested. Looks like new service was put in, but you can see where the old service drop came in as well, there at the top. And walking around here to the front, you can see this low area here. I guarantee you there's probably some issues there with the subflooring under that because of the close clearance that it has to the ground. You can see some separated areas there. It's probably got termites in this, I'm pretty sure. But here's a good example about cladding. Whenever you see that, or whenever I see it on a home, usually I always suspect that it's probably covering up some damaged or defective areas. And you can see the peeling paint that this was once covering. And more than likely there's rotted areas too that this cladding is also covering up. So if you have trees or bushes or any kind of vegetation growing close to the house, sooner or later it's going to create big problems to it. And if it's a slab foundation, it can actually heave that. But you can see all this fungus that's growing on this vinyl, so it holds moisture back, and vinyl's being smooth like it is, it's going to definitely grow fungus on it. And the funny thing is, I can go through any neighborhood and find most houses with bushes all around it. That's just something everybody wants to do. And you can see right there where more than likely there's an armadillo or possum. It's made a house up underneath here as well. Looks like a carport was added onto this at one point. It's falling apart. Looks like there's a couple more homes for possums, raccoons, who knows, armadillos. May even be some snakes underneath there. I have made contact with many snakes in crawl spaces, but most of the snakes I've made contact with have been non-venomous. They're usually rat snakes or black racers, that sort of thing. And this is another thing I kind of like to point out as well. If you look at this carport that was most likely added on by the homeowner, they ledgered it against the house. And of course it's got a flat roof, and what happens is you can see all this pine straw and other debris it's got on top of it, added weight to it. And this roll roofing has a service life of about 7 years, maybe 8. But anytime you have a flat roof system and it's ledgered to the side of the home, well, it's going to make a moisture problem right there where it makes that connection. And so it probably rotted all that out as a result. Looks like the roof system caved in. It doesn't look like a tree hit it, but it does look like more than likely a leak developed and finally got bad enough to where it rotted all the timbers in there and caused it to collapse. So, you know, I figured I'd make this a little bit interesting about walking around an abandoned house and kind of sort of seeing what one would look like if no care was given to it over a period of 30 years. So this kind of sort of gives you an idea of what would happen if you was to do this to your home. But the main thing is you don't want to let that happen either. You want to keep the maintenance up on your house year round, because what happens is if just one issue is left gone unchecked, well then it can create multiple problems with other systems within the house. And that's another good reason why you to get a general home inspection done by a qualified home inspector, whether it's me or anyone else. They can kind of come in and sort of prioritize any issues you might be having. And it's really educational as well. You'll learn a lot from it, and it doesn't cost that much to get one either. You can also use that information if you ever go to buy another house. And also, most everyone at some point is going to sell their home, and so it becomes useful for that as well. Yeah, I'm curious. I want to go in, but I don't think it's safe to do it, so I'm not. And you can kind of sort of see where there's a wasp nest that kind of fell through and got caught between those panes. So there could be wasp nests inside as well. So anyway, I hope this has been somewhat informative, and thanks for taking the time to watch this video. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll see what I can do to answer them. And if you or anyone else need a home inspection performed, please reach out to me at 251-490-9892. And thanks for subscribing to this channel. I also have a Facebook page titled Southern Home Talk, and so I keep articles up on that. It's usually pretty informative. Thanks for watching, and take care.